I'd like to talk to you about self-defense and situational awareness. So as you can see around me, it's a martial arts academy. It's one of my martial arts academies. So I do teach martial arts, kickboxing, boxing, MMA, and also self-defense training. So I teach people like door staff or military contractors, anyone that has some skill set. I will teach them self-defense training specific to what their requirements are. Often that involves things like defense against edge weapons and things like that. But I also do workshops in the corporate sector, and they tend to be about situational awareness. Now, most of people who approach me from the corporate, I have a background in corporate, so I understand a normal working day, understand working from home, working in the office, travelling on business. I've done all of that. But most people who approach me ask for self-defense training. Now, what they're really after is ensuring the safety of their people and making their people aware of what's going on around them and making sure they're safe. The easiest way to do that, and probably the most effective for the majority of people, is something we describe as situational awareness. So it's understanding your environment, who's around you, the risks that are likely to be there, how to identify, manage, and plan what's going to be around and how you can overcome that. And also understanding the transitions between each. So often people talk about how to manage the risks of certain situations throughout your working day. So it could be you're travelling to a new office, but they often look at the elements rather than the transitions between them. And it all needs to be covered. So you need to understand what the risks are of each element and the movement between one element to the next element, because obviously that's when a lot of the problems can occur. So in a workshop, what we do is I talk about basic situations, I get people to bring their stories to the front, because often I don't think I've run a workshop where people haven't had experiences. And normally it comes out and they can be quite extreme problems that they've had. It could be assault, it could be sexual assault, it could be muggings or robbery. I've even had a kidnap. So that comes out, and often people who are in the room with them and work with them every day aren't aware of those problems that they've had. And it could be during the work life, it could be in a previous career, it could be outside of the working environment. But bringing those into the discussion makes it relevant to people, and they can see themselves. And these stories allow people to see themselves in that situation. And that is what makes it relevant to them. So rather than just sitting there being lectured to, which is the most boring thing in the world, I guess many of you have been to presentations like that where it's death by PowerPoint, or you're being talked to like a 3-year-old and it is toe-curlingly bad, yeah? So what we're after is bringing all that out, getting people involved, and then showing them the tool set that they can use time and time again to understand and manage their risks. So it's called situational awareness. It's probably what most people would think of as avoiding conflict, avoiding confrontation. And to me, that's absolutely key. It's much better in a way than self-defense. Self-defense comes to a point where all of that has gone wrong. So none of that has succeeded, and you're at that now breaking point. Well, the attackers often have years and years of experience, and they are experts in what they do. So it's much better if you can avoid that conflict and confrontation, and you've got all of this that you could do beforehand. And that's the key to situational awareness. So normally a workshop runs for a day, normally 10 till 3. And in that period, we go through scenarios, we go through a role play, we go through storytelling, understanding how to use the tool, understanding how you can use the tool automatically in your head without having to write it down, and understand that things change as the day goes through. It's highly unlikely that it's going to be as you planned, even if you're, leaving home, going to the office, picking up tickets, flying to Frankfurt on business, going to a meeting, going to the hotel. It's probably not going to plan out as you intended for the day, and it's almost always those transitions or situations that change that catch people out. Throughout the whole thing, there's little tips that come in that make people think. So little things like, if you're at an airport, get airside as soon as possible. Why? Because in the front of an airport, you've hundreds of people maybe that you've never met before, all have huge cases. Now, in those cases could be anything. So if you look at some of the recent bomb attacks at airport or things like that, they tend to be in that open area where the public are. Once you go through security, everything is scanned, and yes, it's not foolproof. There are ways around, and there are problems, but 90%, 99% probably of the situation is behind you. It's in the public area. You're now through. Everyone has been scanned. Everyone's been searched, and you're with other travellers that have all been cleared. So tips like that as you go through make a lot of difference. People relate to them, they see themselves in that situation, and it's important that the tips relate to what they're doing. So if you don't have people that travel to airports, that's obviously an irrelevant discussion. If you have people in hotels, do they understand how the doors work? Do they understand the hotel's safe? Do they have a mechanical as well as an electronic lock on the door? If not, what are they taking to protect themselves? Little tips like take a little plastic door wedge with you can be significant in affecting your safety. And those little things make a difference, and they all build up the story. So that's situational awareness. Situational awareness is about understanding who, what is around you, and how that's possibly going to impact you, and how you can overcome any issues.